Hey, this is Mr. Walker with NASRC. I'm here with a bunch of cool guys from Southtown Refrigeration. We got everything from baby technicians to senior technicians. And so I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to hand it over, and we're going to go with a guy who's he can't even drink yet. He's not quite 21, and I'm going to let him tell his story of how he ended up here.
My name is Alex Deutsch.
Go, brother. Just keep going.
Yeah, I'm 20 years old. So I'm a second-year apprentice in the Minnesota St. Paul Pipefitters Union. I got into the trade right out of high school. My dad's cousin, he's a pipe fitter. He does ammonia refrigeration. So he kind of got me into it because I knew I wanted to do something in the trades after school. I didn't want to go to college. And this was the way to do it. So I applied for the Pipefitters Union. I got in. I went to 1 year of day school, and then right after that, they get you started right on the job as a first-year apprentice. I got into refrigeration because I was told that's where all the hours are and that's where the money is. So that's kind of
and that's where all the cool people hang out.
And all the cool people, yeah, definitely, yeah. So that's kind of how I ended up here.
So what do you think so far?
I like it. Yeah.
Challenging?
It can be, yeah, definitely.
Some days you wish you would have become an electrician?
Some days, but, you know.
But at the end of the day, you're happy, getting paid good?
Yep, definitely.
Can't argue with the money, can you?
No.
Are you getting the overtime?
Oh, yeah, yep. That's for sure.
So what do you think about CO2, this natural refrigerant stuff we're talking about saving the environment? You got any opinion on that?
Not a whole lot. I mean, since I kind of just got in, it's almost... I don't know. It's almost kind of the first job I was ever on. I do a lot of install, and the first job I was ever on was a CO2 install. So it's almost kind of normal for me, CO2. It's kind of like what I learned on almost is CO2. So it's kind of nice getting into it and learning it right away.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah. I don't really think a whole lot of it. It was almost more different for me after CO2, kind of getting back to the regular DX refrigerant.
That's actually pretty cool, and that's where the future is going to be. This guy going HFC going, what is that?
Yeah.
Because they're so used to CO2. Mm-hmm. All right, you very good?
Yeah.
You got to head to school?
Pretty soon, yeah. Yeah, I got night school, so.
All right, so we'll move on to the next one.
My name's Nicholas Martini. I just finished my 2-year tech school, and we just applied to the union probably about a month ago. We're waiting for our interviews. So my name's Nicholas Martini. I just went to my 2-year tech school. We just applied to the union, and we're waiting for our interview still. I've probably been here for about 4 years. What got me into refrigeration was when I was younger, my dad was in a painters union, and I knew when growing up I always wanted to do something union. I just didn't know exactly what it was until starting here at Southtown. I started as a shop guy just running parts, and then seeing what these guys are working on, it looked pretty cool and it just intrigued me. So I took it on and I went to the 2-year tech school, and I'm just waiting to get in with these guys.
So what did you think about the tech school? Was it mostly HVAC or was it refrigeration as well?
I think the first year was mostly HVAC, and then the second year it got more technical into the refrigeration. The first year was kind of difficult, coming green, just trying to learn it all and understand it. Mm-hmm. But the second year was a pretty good breeze.
So is that kind of common around here to go through the tech school, then try to get into the end of the union and become a fitter then?
I think that's the most common around here at Southtown, but everyone, like Alex, took a whole different route. He never went to the two-year tech school.
Oh. Here, our baby?
Yeah, he went through, I think he went through the 1 year construction.
Oh, was he a Cub for a year?
Yeah, through St. Paul. They have their own type of classes that you can take.
All right, well, sounds good. Are you looking forward to starting your apprenticeship?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to starting it sooner than later. They're going to have me sitting for quite a while.
You getting tired of pushing a broom?
Yeah, I'm getting real tired of it. I've gone through quite a few brooms.
Yeah. And after your third year, when you're out there at 2 o'clock in the morning, freezing your butt off in Minnesota, you're going to go,
I'm going to wish I was still pushing.
Broom.
I'll find a broom there. I'll find a broom, and I'll go inside, and I'll start pushing it.
That's not what they didn't tell me that.
Hi, my name is Sergey. I'm in trade already 5 years. Just ask a question.
Oh, I get to ask questions.
Yeah, if you can ask me. Yeah, it's easier for me. You can ask. some
How
questions.
long you been in refrigeration? 5 years?
In Southtown, 4 years.
How long you been in it total?
Total 5.5.
5.5 years?
Yes.
You went through the pipe fitters here in St. Paul?
Minneapolis.
Oh, Minneapolis. Oh yeah, I forget there's
539.
two locals. I forget
Yes.
about that.
Yeah.
So so far, you enjoy what you're doing?
Yes. Yes.
What are some of the most challenging things, or the things that you like most about refrigeration?
Refrigeration is actually new for me, and I like everything. Just more I learn, more I like it. Like I don't have specific stuff what exactly I like. I like everything.
Everything about it. You said you just got into refrigeration. What did you do before? Were you HVAC or? Or you, just 5 years? You're saying just for 5 years you've been in it?
Yes. I'm told.
5 years?
Yeah.
You look forward to keep doing it? You getting paid good?
Yes.
So would you recommend this trade for other people?
Yes, if people like to do work in the construction, money, and if they have service, how to say, mind thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the good things, because you have to use your mind. You can't. It's not just because you didn't go to 4 years of college.
Yeah.
You're not sitting there.
Exactly. Yeah.
You have to think. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of it as well. All right.
Uh,
Anything else you want to add?
That's it.
interested?
Well, how did you end up here? What were you doing before you became a refrigeration guy, and what made you come into refrigeration?
Actually, my both grandfather was in the boilers. Pretty much, like when I was young, a little bit familiar. When I was young, I like soldering, disassemble a lot of stuff. Like I'm kind of, close to technician stuff.
Work with your hands.
Yes.
And your head.
Yes, and when I came to college, I thinking to be plumber or CNC. As soon as I figure out it's HVAC, I jump into HVAC and sign that. I like it.
Do you like HVAC or refrigeration better?
Refrigeration, yes.
It's what?
Refrigeration. That's why I'm here. Yeah. Before I worked in couple companies, Legacy and New Century. It's pretty much mostly rooftop. They do rooftop and boilers, but here refrigeration, and I like it.
You like working in the grocery stores?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool. You like the overtime?
Yes, I like. Actually, I have 4 kids. I like money, but sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you don't need as much overtime as you get, right?
Yeah, sometimes I don't like when it's too busy.
All right, that's very good. All right, my next victim.
Hi, my name is Fenice Lugo. I have almost 2-year apprentice, and I'm from the Union 539 here in Minneapolis. So I got in. It was like pandemic time. I started going to the tech school. My brother-in-law started going for HVAC. I kind of got interested because I always wanted to get like hands-on trades, and I never knew like what I wanted to do, like maybe electrician, plumber, something. And then when I found out, oh look, that's an option, like HVAC, I went in for that. And then they taught us about a little bit of refrigeration. But one of the instructors at the tech school, like sometimes she'll get offers from other companies like Southtown, and Southtown was looking for somebody for their shop. So that's how I got in. I kind of saw it as like a foot into the union. So that's how I started.
Now, when you say the shop, did you start pushing a broom?
Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah, I started pushing a broom, taking parts to these guys, techs here. Yeah.
The more you took parts to them, the more you say, hey, this actually looks cool. I want to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you just get to talk to them. They'll like show you what they're doing, and it's pretty like everybody's nice. So it's like they're like, all right, oh look what I'm doing. You're just observing, This is how they'll tell you how they got it, and it's like how they found out what the problem was and everything.
And that's pretty cool, though, right?
Yeah.
And do you find they share pretty much, give you the information you need and help you out? Most of the guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you a journeyman yet, or
No, I'm still a second-year apprentice.
Second year? All right. So you're still taking classes, but working and making money while you're still learning.
Yep.
That's a lot better than paying all that student loan back, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
getting paid to work and learn.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So far, what is one of the things you would say if I ask you? I am asking you. What is one of the favorite things you like about refrigeration? Do you have something that, man, this is cool?
I don't know. It's always something different. You just learning. Like when you go on service, you don't see the same thing all the time. It's kind of moves around and stuff, and then obviously you get to talk to other techs, and then you just that could be a downfall too when it's not always the same thing, because then you just do it one time, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, like, you know, maybe a year's passing, like, have you done this? It's like, yeah, once, but you know,
You got to relearn it, right?
Yeah, relearn it.
That's pretty cool. What about anything in particular? You go, man, dude, this sucks. I don't like this.
I don't know.
Oh, come on.
No, bro.
No,
Like, it's the same thing. Like sometimes, like just in the ranks, you get in the ranks. Yeah, when it's 20, or you like never seen it, and you're just like, oh crap, where do I start? You know, and it's just like an emergency call. Maybe you're like, oh shoot, okay, let me. Like even before I even got on call, I was like, in my head, I was getting in my head like, okay, how's this gonna look? Like not knowing the, you know, the expectation, or not knowing what's gonna happen or where I'm gonna do. That's probably like where I'm like, oh snap. But then you're in it, and it's like, all right, you kind of start. I don't know. You feel accomplished when you're like, okay, I found it.
and that's like kind of an endorphin rush, right?
Yeah.
When you had to figure it out on your own. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
For
one
sure.
of my favorite parts.
Yeah, mine
You
too.
ever walk into something maybe somebody else couldn't fix, and you walk in and fix it, something somebody else couldn't fix?
Yeah. That, or they call you and ask, hey, how'd you get this? And it's like, oh, cool, all right. I get to show you, or I get to explain like how I got it.
That's got to be cool, right? Yeah. What about when it's minus 20 on the roof?
Not the greatest.
But
do
at
a
least
lot
you're
of trips
outside.
inside. do a lot of trips back inside and outside.
Yeah, when you can't feel your fingers. All right, very good. Thank you. Here we go. One more time.
They call me the Amish. I'm a third-year apprentice. I got into this trade. I dropped out of 2-year, or what was it? Just a not technical college, but
Like a regular college?
just a regular 2-year
Community college.
Community college. Dropped out of that once the biology teacher started talking about fishing. Then I started going fishing instead of going to school. So that didn't help. Started doing lawn care. Realized I probably shouldn't do that for the rest of my life. So then I played the role, as my dad would say, played the role as an electrician, plumber, and wherever else they need. Fixing benches, outlets, and whatnot. They ran out of work. Then I went to go be a machine mechanic at they built basically plastic bags and whatnot. Did that. Was just about to go join the railroad union, and then my buddy that I used to work for doing the electrical and plumbing told me I should get into HVAC, and decided instead of traveling around doing railroads, breaking my back doing that, break my back doing this, I guess.
Yeah, either way, you're going to break your back, right? And you won't be able to hear. You'll be like me wearing hearing aids before
Yeah,
long.
exactly. But so that's how I got into this. Went to Dunwoody for 2 years. While there, I did residential. Worked at Dyke and Applied as a what was it? Their Plymouth facility, doing work on their new equipment that's coming out.
Okay.
So I was inside the testing rooms running all that equipment.
Oh, kind of like in a lab.
Yep, I was in the lab. So
Oh, that'd be cool.
yeah, it was cool, but you're basically sitting on your ass the entire time.
Bored?
Yeah, looking at graphs just go up and down. Pays really well. It's a great place to work for if you find not sitting on your ass.
Yeah, but that wasn't for you.
No, so I applied for a position at Southtown while I was working at Daikin.
How did you find? You all said that you applied for the position. Did you see it in the online, Indeed, or how did you find it?
The the old service manager came to our 2-year school.
Oh, okay.
So I talked with him there, but I knew I either wanted to do refrigeration, boilers, or chillers. One of the 3 specialties.
Mm-hmm.
And refrigeration just interested me more. So went down that rabbit hole.
And so you're third-year apprentice at the hall in Minneapolis or St. Paul?
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
Yeah.
All right. You enjoying it so far?
Yeah. I prefer the troubleshooting more than the PMs, but
Oh, yeah. PMs are boring. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. What is one of the things you find the coolest about working in refrigeration and grocery stores?
So you spend a lot less time outside. Yeah.
Less time outside?
Yep. More time in the stores, away from the heat. I enjoyed all just the amount of stuff that you can kind of touch by working on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just the variety of things like the evac systems, and then
Oh,
yeah.
like at an Aldi's?
What?
Like at an Aldi's, evac?
No, I don't know if a lot of the Aldi's have evac systems, do they?
A lot of Trader Joe's are here, dude.
Trader
Yeah,
Joe's.
Trader
Both
Joe's.
of them have it.
Both of them, yeah.
But they're both kinfolk, right?
Yeah.
The Costco's, that's where I tend to work on them more.
Okay, more
Costco and Trader Joe's. Aldi's, they have a bunch of holes in their underneath the cases with just a pan heater.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Amazon does a lot of evac too.
Yeah, so all these I've worked on have all been evac systems.
Yeah. Well, I've come across a few where they just have a standard condensate pump, just pumps back.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I hope you had those to your PM, brother.
I don't do the Aldi PMs.
Because I can see that getting nasty.
It gets that's basically all the service calls that's just clogged up.
So is that kind of the things that you don't like about the trade?
The PMs, but it's not the worst thing in the world. I can
Yeah.
find a lot of things that people would normally not catch.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I found a compressor was off for like a year, so that nobody knew about.
The money's not bad, right?
Money's not bad. Money's good.
Money's good.
Yeah.
All right, very cool. So, what do you think about the CO2 stuff? You're 3 years in now, yeah?
Yeah. I only see it when I'm on call. Other than that, not so much.
So to you, it's just another thing, right?
Yeah.
No big deal.
No.
Just like our baby here saying, "Hey, I learned on that," so it's just the normal,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, yeah.
Oh, you call the golden boy when you have trouble?
I'll call him here and there. Yeah.
Hey, it's always good that we can rely on each other, right?
Oh, yeah.
And when we get stuck, we help each other, and we don't hide stuff from each other. That's always cool. All right, very good. Anything else you want to add?
No.
You like it so far, though?
Oh.
All right. We have a treat for us today.
For us.
We have the golden boy of Southtown, and he's been doing a ton. I actually let him teach part of my class today, and so we're going to see. He's going to tell us some real life stories on working with CO2, and he's going to tell us how he got in the trade as well.
Okay. Well, I go by Dan K here at Southtown, and so
What do you go by other places?
Daniel or Danny. Yeah. So they call me Dan K here. I got into the trades 10 years ago. Started school in 2013. My dad was a fitter through the utility, so that's kind of how I went through it. I went to school for something else, and then
What'd you go to school for?
aviation.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. Pilot. And then that was the plan, but then knocked up the girlfriend. She was of 7 years, and then it was like, okay, you need something else, because as a flight instructor working your way up to pilots, it's not that much income right away. So then I looked to my dad, because he raised I have 2 brothers and 3 sisters, so he raised a family with 6 kids as a fitter through the gas utility. And then so I just looked at him and was like, okay, I'll go do that. So started school through night school at Hennepin Tech, did the 2 years there, and then got into the trades that way. Got into the union that way. My original plan was just to go through and work for the gas utility, like my father, but then there was one class, ice refrigeration, so it's ice making an ice making course, like a 2-week course at Hennepin Tech. Happened to stumble across a under-counter Viking ice machine that
Cool.
that had tried to get repaired 3 different times, and then they couldn't get it repaired, so they just tossed it. And it was a friend of the family, so I was like, well, I'll take it because I'm lining up with this course for ice machines, and I'll bring it to school and tinker with it. So brought it in and then worked on it with my instructor. Rhonda, we looked up the manual, pulled up the manual, went through the sequence of operation on it and kind of figured out where we were dropping out, and ended up being that the defrost termination sensor that they replaced one with a brand new one, but that one was dead on arrival. So
And they didn't check it.
yeah, and so it didn't go in, it didn't initiate harvest. So then so that's how I found out about that, through Southtown, because my instructor had contacts with Southtown and said, hey, got this guy, brought his ice machine over, might want to interview him to see if he'd be interested in going down the refrigeration route. So interviewed with Southtown, and then rest is history. Got in through the union.
So was refrigeration ever on your
Not on my
radar
radar.
until
No.
you fixed that ice machine?
No, wasn't on my radar. And then, yeah, definitely. I don't even know if it was an interest really, but interviewed, and then it was like, okay, I can just try it, right? Because as a student at Hennepin Tech, you have nothing to lose if you're, So it's like, well, let's just try to see where, because the whole brand, the HVAC/R, it's all encompassing. You can be building maintenance, all the way to refrigeration or boiler or chiller. You can specialize or do the general service with HVAC. So, but yeah, so that's how I got into refrigeration. And then it sucked me in and I can't get out.
That is funny. No matter how hard you try, you can't get out, man.
No. It's part of the pros and cons of the whole industry, So it's, yeah.
And it's almost all-encompassing, is it not?
Yeah.
I mean, you go out with a refrigeration guy, 90% of our conversation is all about a service call or this, or we looked at that, yeah? Mm-hmm. Isn't it?
Yeah. It's all-encompassing, especially in refrigeration, yeah, and pipe fitting in general. You have to. It's kind of it's a lot of trades put together too. Mm-hmm. So as a pipe fitter, you have to know electricity. So you have to be part electrician. With the EVAC systems and anchors, you have to be part plumber, and and then also with refrigeration, it's more. There's a lot more gray, as far as rooftop units, more black and white with is the flame sensor detecting flame or not? It's yes or no. But in refrigeration, the case could be running cold or somewhat cold, and the rack could be running and decent enough, but it's still maybe not running as it should. So tons of gray. And then is it the TXV? Is it not? Is it?
That's why I say
when in doubt.
The greatest word in refrigeration is ish.
Yeah, right. That's true. Yeah. There's a lot more gray. So then that comes with it a lot more just possibilities and complexities, and just knowing foundations, right? Your foundation of physics, really. Right, to know what's going on in the systems.
Yeah, absolutely.
And especially more so now, even than a decade ago.
So what do you think about the move to some of this higher tech, the new technology, the CO2, the case controllers, and all that? What do you think about all that?
It's definitely a change in the industry, even from when I just started 10 years ago. There's been a huge jump in the change of even cases. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there was a fan circuit and a TXV mechanical valve in the case. So that was it. Yeah. So did you have were your fans spinning, and was the TXV doing its job? Did you have superheat? Yeah. And now you have a computer, a transducer, as you have 4 sensors, all working in conjunction with each other.
Do you like the challenging part? It sounds like you really like the fact that it's challenging. It's not easy.
I don't know. Yeah, yes and no. There's a lot of days where I just want to go work on a case that has a fan circuit and TXV mechanical valve versus, what's the new and upcoming, because the engineers, if they'll do it, they'll do it, Just because you can doesn't mean you should, sometimes too as well.
That's an interesting point. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Right.
So you dig the trade for the most part, yeah?
Yeah.
Money's good.
Yeah, it's decent. Yeah, it's
What a-
decent. The trade's nice. Refrigeration's nice in general because it's global. You can work anywhere in the world. AI's not coming after it, so you can't be outsourced. You can't remote work. So has to be installed here, serviced here. So that's good for job security. And then supermarkets, it's needed. So even during the pandemic, didn't skip a beat. The only place open was grocery stores.
Yeah, supermarkets made more money during the pandemic.
Yeah, we were busy.
Yeah, we're busy. We
Yeah.
kept moving.
Yeah. So that's a plus to it, for
Yeah.
sure.
Recession-proof, basically.
Recession-proof, yeah. Yeah, and with that comes, the after hours call, then that's the downside when you get the call at midnight or 2 a.m. for something running warm, emergency. So there's, you have that too. But with that comes job security and
And pay.
pay.
Overtime
Right,
and everything. And do you find that, is that the best part of it, do you think, the challenging part of it, or is it the money part of it? What do you say the best part for you is?
Best part for me is probably boils down to for me, I would have to just off the top probably say the job security aspect of it, where we're not as a specific industry or a specific sector in this whole HVAC umbrella. Generally speaking, we're not going anywhere anytime soon.
No, and
It's-
nobody's replacing us.
No, right. So, you could move halfway across the world and still find a job for that. So
Probably have the job before you get there.
right. Yeah, exactly. And it's a kind of a small niche sector of the whole umbrella, like I said. So we kind of all know each other, even here in the metro area. It's kind of a small knit group that
Isn't
do
it-
the commercial supermarket refrigeration.
Isn't it funny how important and how big the supermarket industry is, but how really few of us that are doing this?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Right, yeah.
So what do you guys think? Pretty good? That's what's keeping you guys here. You'll never be unemployed unless you want to be. Yeah. Right? Unless you just get so tired you become a Walmart greeter. Other than that, you're good to go. All right.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, I appreciate you. Anybody want to add? What do you think about the CO2? Because you had quite a bit to say in the class, and I can tell you've worked on quite a bit of it. What do you think?
I think it's CO2. I at first, when it first came out, I was like, well, I could see the writing on the wall that this is where supermarkets are going to go, just because of the lower GWP and all that. They don't have much choice other than to go CO2. So I figured, like, when I was starting out, like as a third-year apprentice, that's just right when the metro area here started getting the first supermarket stores. So for me, I saw the writing on the wall. I was like, okay, I think because I'm just starting out this career, I should get a handle on it sooner than later. So kind of tried to get myself immersed in it to try to learn it right off the bat, just knowing that I'd have to deal with it for a while. Because once the system's installed, it doesn't go anywhere. It's there for a while. Stores aren't going to rip it out after spending, their how much ever it costs. So for me, that's what got me right into to focus. Okay, so I'm in the refrigeration. What can be my niche per se here, specialty, something I can hone in on and try to get better at. And so CO2. And then there's a lot of positives and negatives with everything. So with CO2 positives, you can release it.
That's a good thing.
The refrigerant's cheap, so if you do release it, or if there is a release, the customer, it's not that much compared to other, like the chlorofluorocarbon ones that are more expensive. With that, so there's not the odor too, so no phosgene, burning, gas like that. So the toxicity's less, which is good. What I also liked about it is that with the CO2 systems, it kind of it throws data at you, right? So tons of data. So for troubleshooting, for me, it was easier because instead of having to pull out, the Cooper and the gauges and check superheat, it tells me right there what it is, if you can trust the data.
Yeah, on the
So a lot of times,
controllers
you can get tripped up when it's giving you something and it's like, well, is this? So there's that other end of it too, where can you trust the data that it's giving you or not? That was one of the pluses for it. Some of the negatives are that it's just more there's just a lot more to go on. So when you get a CO2 store and you have, instead of just the fan circuits and the TXVs, now you have 60 case controllers out there all talking to each other. So you have the communication end of it now with the RS-485 and all that can come with it. So, and then you just have so many more sensors, so many more transducers, so many more components to go wrong, which is again good for job security, I guess. Right? So, and then what else was CO2? So, where was I going with that? So that's part of the negatives. Also, now instead of just going to the case and opening up the lower deck pan, now you're bringing a ladder in because you got to go to the top of the case.
Where the electrical panel.
So now you have a ladder, yeah. So there's a lot of just more to it when looking at it. And then with it being brand new, there wasn't. Also, one of maybe the downsides of it too is that you don't have as much industry or seasonality support with it because it's coming up newer. But yeah.
But since you're on it from the get, you're going to be our experience. You're going to be our seasoned guy, right?
Oh, you are. You are. Yeah. If you remember, I think I called you back in like 2018 asking you a question on one of the sites that we had here.
Did I
back
help
in
you?
the day? Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
All right,
So I couldn't say no to this podcast, right?
So gentlemen, I want
forward.
to thank you for sitting here and talking to me a little bit. You know, I encourage you to stay in the trade because then there's nothing else I would want to do. I will correct one thing that I've heard of some of you mispronounce, and I got to correct right now. You keep saying HVAC and R. From this point forward, it's R/little HVAC. Can we agree on that? Because we're getting tired of being the redheaded stepchild. Are we good? Mm-hmm. All right, gentlemen. I thank you for that, and I appreciate y'all.
Yep.
Keep going. All right. Hey.
Oh, hey, wait, Rusty. I was going to ask you some questions. Turn the tables on the interview.
Oh, no.
Because we're more so we're technicians, so we're more boots on the ground per se. But I know you have more industry exposure and contacts. So just if you had something to say about like as far as where the industry is going, are they going to stay with CO2? Is that for the near future?
So the way I look at it and the way the legislation's changing, the way everything's changing, and for me, CO2 is just a better refrigerant because there's more BTUs per pound like we were talking in class today. So I don't see us getting away from this. And I think as we get rid of the HFCs and get rid of the supply, the demand for refrigeration is going to stay high. And so I think we're going to do that. I do think we're going to do more propane. We'll see what the A2Ls bring, but I think those of us who have learned CO2 are going to be the guys that are going to be more valuable moving forward. I really think it's going to be great, and I look forward to you becoming an instructor.
Right. So has the industry or customers have you heard from them as far as they've had to have some growing pains with the CO2 as well because now all your eggs are all in one basket. Before they were separate racks, so you lose medium temp or lose low temp. Now have you heard anything as far as growing pains from them with it? Are they,
a lot of them don't think about that per se because a lot of times, remember, some of the HFC, the bigger HFC racks, I could have a -20 and a +20 on the same rack with a crossover valve between the two suction groups. I didn't dump one into the other like I do with the booster, but I could lose a whole rack that way. Yeah, that's all over the board. A lot of the customers, just like us as technicians, they were growing pains. I'm losing too much CO2 and the rack goes down. I have a power outage and I lose that. And so they're learning about how to apply this, just like we're learning how to fix it. And so that's really cool because we're all like in that point where we're all trying to figure this out. So yeah, it's really cool.
Right, it's still developing somewhere.
Yeah, unless you want to come up with a thermoelectric cooling.
Yeah.
Or something like that, we're going to stay into CO2 for a while.
Right. So with that, do they see any difference on electricity bills or efficiencies that way?
So there are some electrical gains on it because it is better BTUs, but there's other customers, like it's funny you bring this up. There is a customer who's done hot gas forever. And so when they want to do a remodel with CO2, hot gas is a little new for us with CO2 because of the way it's structured, but these guys can't do electric defrost because we didn't pull enough current into the building when they built it originally. So you're going to have to figure out how to do better hot gas. That's one of the things the industry has to get a little bit better at, is more hot gas instead of necessarily liquid fed gas or low temperature gas off the low temp discharge. So yeah, that's going to be a challenge for some of us and some of the stores.
Yeah. Do you think some of the stores are going to go more one-on-ones?
Like smaller condensing units?
Smaller, instead of all their eggs in one big, CO2, are they going to go more, are we going to see a throwback into more one-on-ones for lineups and circuits?
So I don't think you're going to have a separate low temp rack versus a medium temp rack. What I think is going to happen, and you've already seen some of the grocery store chains do this, what they'll do is they'll build a smaller booster. So they'll have low temp, medium temp on the rack and low temp, medium temp on another rack. And so they'll do half the store with one rack and half the store on the other rack. And since they're two smaller racks, it's still there's a cost benefit because I'm not building this one big rack. Plus, like you keep saying, I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket. If this rack fails, I can move the critical product from here into the cooler freezers of the other rack. So that kind of gives me a little backup, if you will.
Right. Okay. And then another question for you. So
I don't like the way your eyes lit up when you thought of this question, man.
we gotta. Do you have any industry contacts for allowing these systems to go in the stores instead of on the roof?
Spoken like a person living today's high was 20, so that's where some of this is coming from.
You gotta talk to Hussman and Hill and tell them to stop making make the cabinets 16 inches wider on each side and walk in, at least.
And, it's funny that you say that, because if you go to certain stores, they have mezzanines and they have it inside the store, and those are usually in the South, of course. Yeah, it's all over the place. Some guys are putting in big machine houses where it's nice and heated with the equipment itself running. Mm-hmm. And then there's always that unit that's going to sit on the roof outside where I can work for 15 minutes and I can't feel my fingers and I have to go back inside and warm up. And you guys I'm telling you, this week has taught me, that's a real thing, man, because it's been cold. But
cold
yeah,
and windy.
It would be windy. Oh, windy. You can't put enough clothes on here when it's cold and windy like that.
Some of these vertical condensers, you have to tarp them.
Oh, yeah.
Because otherwise it's like the fans are running.
It's funny that everybody always whines about CO2. Didn't mean whine. People are always talking about CO2 in the hot ambient. Man, dude, I'd rather work on one of those at 104 on the roof in Miami than I would at 10 degrees with the wind blowing up here. It's and the system operates better when it's hotter. It really does, because in the ambient, that cold air runs across the condenser, and I crash the rack, and the high pressure control valve doesn't keep it back. Yeah, I'd much rather work on it in the warm ambient than up here.
Yeah. What would you say and then let's get into some technical. What would you say is the best condenser strategy for CO2?
I'm not getting into that. You're just going to get me in trouble. Because as soon as I say that, somebody's going to bite my butt. Go, no, I do it this way. I do it this way.
Yeah,
there's a lot of different thoughts out there right now. Like I always say, if you put 15 mechanics in a room, mm-hmm. and you ask them a question, like let's say 15 mechanics, and ask them how to set superheat, I'm going to get 25 different answers. Yeah. Right? And so, there's TD strategy. I'm a big TD strategy guy, but there's a lot of guys that want to do straight temperature, and a lot of guys want to go straight pressure. But we got to remember all the nuances that go on with the fan cycling and the high pressure control valve and the dances they all do together. Yeah. So, I'm not. That's a big conversation we have right now.
Right. Seems like there's not one true answer. I can go to 6 different stores and see 6 different, and look at just one metric on the EKC and see 6 different things. Yeah. They're all generally in the same area.
Same area,
but it's like splitting hairs sometimes.
Yeah, and sometimes I tell people, I don't care how you feel, give me the data. Right. Like you said earlier, right? I want the numbers. Then I'll make a decision based on data, not on feeling.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
All right, we good?
Yeah, we're good.
Hey, man, I appreciate you. Nobody ever wants to interview me, so I love it. Thanks a lot. Thanks, guys. I appreciate your time. and we're out.